The White House is opening up brand new markets for American businesses, and they're cashing in abroad. American companies signed almost 100 contracts worth $170 billion with foreign governments in just the first 9 months of the Trump administration. That smashed the $12 billion total from the same stretch in 2021. The deals are expected to support almost 600,000 jobs for Americans. The big winners, you can see them here: defense, energy, and tech. So, Gary, these are some really big numbers that we have that the Commerce Department is sharing with the American people. I'm curious to know how you kind of weigh these wins. How important are they in the broader landscape of the economy? Because we do have some other signals that maybe we have signs of a slowdown.
Every deal that comes through is a potential job, simple as that. The more deals that come, the better. I love the fact they're announcing them. Whether or not they do come through, you never do know. You're dealing with governments and how much they're going to spend. But when I see them doing a deal with the UK and all of a sudden we hear that they're going to buy 30 Boeing jets, terrific. And by the way, part of, I think, the stock market right now are these things. Remember, stock market is about actual numbers, but also perception of what could come in the future. And this is some good stuff, and I'm hoping to see more as we move forward.
David, Gary brings up a really good point about, how soon can we see all these deals really come to fruition? When do we actually see the investment in the United States benefiting from these deals that have been inked? And I wonder if there's a question to be asked about how we're getting to these deals. How much of these deals are a product of the tariffs? Because tariffs, they might be here today but gone tomorrow. So do you have any questions about the permanency of these deals or these investments?
The permanence and the actuality of them coming together, because I've seen press releases and announcements so many times that were not followed by purchase orders. Jackie brought up the soybean issue with China from 5 years ago. This is not criticism of the president, because it's actually one of his best features that he can be such a compelling cheerleader. But we do need to point out that he does like the headline a lot more than the article. Okay, and in this particular case, I would just say that you have to look at what they were going to be ordering anyways to see what is additive to economic growth. The thing that concerned me in the Commerce is them daring to use 2021 as a baseline. This $170 billion number looks like a big number, so why contrast it against a number when everybody knows the world was shut down? To me, that seemed like a stretch. I just think we're going to know, because Gary says markets give you real numbers.
Right.
The foreign direct investment, the real capital flows, this stuff won't lie in the end. The problem is you're not going to know next week, next month, when a lot of us want to kind of see how it's going. It's 6 months, 12 months, 18 months till a more objective assessor can see how it's going.
And I feel like that's what a lot of people would say is give this time to take root, Jackie.
Yes.
We're going to grow our way forward. GDP numbers look really good lately, so maybe this could, add some support to that.
I think it'll contribute to growth, but we've been saying it will take time to come to fruition. These are not things that happen overnight. And so there has to be some patience in that and seeing the overall economic policy plan come together. What I think is coming out of Commerce Secretary Lutnick is a little, sugarcoating. Hey, look at us, look at us, look at everything we've done. I'm not taking away from the accomplishment, as you are not either, David, with the deals. I think the deals are important. And I do think that they underscore America's strength. The fact that countries and companies are willing to sit down with this administration and make deals like this and at least commit even on paper to some of these contracts is important. And we've restored that faith in the White House once again, which was very, very important. But like you said, to compare it to $12 billion in 2021, you don't need to do that.
No.
You don't need to do that. You just list them. You say how much you've brought in so far, $170 billion. This is the timeline that we're projecting it's going to take to play out. It's going to work with the rest of our policies in this way. And you keep going.
Can I come up with a theory for that comparison, actually?
Please.
So you look at that, 2021 is Biden's first year back in office, right? Biden's supposed to be the guy who's going to restore relationships globally. He's the steady hand. He comes in and we have no contracts. Now, I agree, it's COVID, right? So bad comparison, maybe. But it might just be that Biden comes in and actually does nothing. And Trump, we've talked about how much energy he has. First year back on the job, and we're inking these contracts. Almost all the money, by the way, is aerospace and defense. What does that tell you? He's out talking to other countries and saying, let's talk about our security. Let's talk about how we can partner. Let's talk about how we can be allies. So economically, it's one thing. But maybe just from a relationship standpoint, he never gets credit. He's the guy who ruins relationships, right? this is a lot of defense relationship money on the table. Maybe it's a testament
Look,
to the president's
outcome will be everything, but I can tell you, if perception's reality, we didn't hear squat out of the White House on deals in 22, 23, 24.
Right.
I didn't see any of that going on
But
at
Gary,
that
do
time.
you want the deals being announced by Washington, D.C.? Why? I mean, you're on my side about the government involved in the economy. Why do we need the government being a business broker?
Because politics is about marketing.
All right.
And as we enter, what are we, 13 months away from a midterm election that's quite important to this president,
Yeah.
It's understandable. And by the way, both sides would do that.
I think I think Brian picked up on a good point, though, and I would just add to that. It's not even the business blunders, in a sense, with respect to the economy with Biden. It also was his foreign policy blunders.
Oh, yeah.
Every time he got up on the global stage or made a decision, Russia, Ukraine, Afghanistan, whatever it was, he royally messed it up. And so we were in a situation where we did look weak as a result of that. So I think what you're saying, there's something to that, to the comparison in that way.
I mean, maybe it's business brokering, but this to me just looks like a lot of, hey, America, this is what's happening. It's marketing. You have to tell your story. We're active around the globe and things are happening. You know, in a world where information doesn't always flow as freely as it ought to, maybe it's helpful.
By the way,
I got news for you.
he was doing this before he got inaugurated his first term. He was. I was there in Trump Tower, and he was having business leader after business leader coming in to do the camera shot. They're going to invest here. They're going to do this with SoftBank and some of these things. But to your point about the Biden administration, what an incredible opportunity he missed, where Russia goes to war in Ukraine. The Americans are the leaders in exporting liquefied natural gas. We can provide to Asia and Europe and have a geopolitical leverage over Russia. And what does the Biden administration do? Not go ink big deals and do Lutnick Trump marketing.
Shut it down.
He shuts down the building.
Well, he told Speaker Johnson he didn't sign that executive order, so I don't want to go down the auto pen rabbit hole. But
the auto pen shut it down.
I'll just say this to counter on the Trump thing. Listen, you expect presidents to lean into their strengths. This is a strength for him, business and deal making. So I could see him leaning into that to say, that's what I brought to the table. It's part of what people voted for in me.
A president is the most important marketer of this country on a daily basis, and that's what he's doing. And guess what? Outcome will be everything. We'll know outcome in time. It's just good to see some movement when we had, in my opinion, absolutely no movement. And you said it best. What happened with Ukraine and Russia, I called it stumbling, mumbling, fumbling, and bumbling of the last 4 years before we got into the President Trump.
We're all in agreement. The marketing is important, and President Trump is so good at it. The only thing I'm saying is that the question originally was, do we feel optimism that this is going to drive economic growth? The marketing of this cannot drive economic growth.
Right. It has to function properly.
The proof is in the pudding.
Factuality.
Yeah.